Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the Pig War Oversimplified by OverSimplified, of course. Yes guys, I've had a couple recommendations to check out Oversimplified on the channel over the past few months, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it. So I figure, you know, why not today? Why not check him out, see what he's all about? Yeah, I think I've checked him out years and years ago. I want to say his World War I, World War II videos, like when they came out. I want to say I checked out those videos, but I have not seen anything from him since then. I have no idea, you know, how much his content has come since then. I know just like looking at his channel since then, like he's uploaded so much stuff. Like yeah, back here, World War I, that was literally his first videos on his channel. World War II, not quite his second video or his second series, but yeah, literally this was like the last like 2 videos I checked out from him. So yeah, I'm excited to see how far he's come. And yeah, a couple of you guys said the Pig War was a good one to check out. Another instance of just like, yeah, like a pointless war started for a pointless reason. I'm assuming probably after, probably takes place after the War of 1812, if I had to assume. Just looking at the thumbnail, the uniforms definitely look like America and British. There's a British flag, American flag, and the uniform, the time period kind of gives me like 1800s to 1850s vibes. I definitely didn't get any semblance of like the American Civil War from the thumbnail, so I'm guessing it's probably between 1800 and 1850, but probably likely after the War of 1812, or maybe this could even be a prelude to the War of 1812. I have no idea, right? I'm not really too knowledgeable about this time period, but you know, I'm always excited to learn, so hopefully we can learn something here today. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principe, Dagenhart, and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. We are already subscribed up. I gave a like on this video, of course. If we're going to be reacting to it, got to do my due diligence, of course. And yeah, without any further delay, guys, captions are already on. Quality is 1080p. That's awesome. We're going to full screen it. And without any further delay, so we get right into this video. Yeah, the Pig War by Oversimplified. I just had a stroke there. My bad. Let's get into it.
This video was made possible by NordVPN. Click the link below to stay safe online and get a huge discount off a 2-year plan with a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Huge discount.
Trouble sleeping? Need someone to snuggle? Then why not snuggle? Me! The limited edition Oversimplified plushie is available for pre-order for a few days only.
Few days!
Along with some beautiful new character pins.
Damn you! I'm too late! I fucking missed it! I'm sure he's got to have like some offers running again, you know. That's quality looking plushie. Holy shit, good for him, man. Again, like when I checked him out last, like this is so cool. He's got these big sponsorships and he's got plushies and shit now. That's so cool. Good for him, man. I'm really excited for him there. That's awesome to see. Yeah, shit, I kind of sad I missed out on these plushies. These look awesome. But also, yeah, if you guys plan on using NordVPN, make sure you go check out his code. Huge discount, apparently. I'm not sure what the discount consists of, but might as well take it if you get it. Go use his code.
For a few days only. Get it quick along with some beautiful new character pins. Look at us, boys. We've only gone and bloody done it.
Right.
We beat the Brits and secured independence. Now to expand westward and conquer the rest of the continent.
This is the Continental War, I'm assuming,
a bunch of
or right
people
after.
Already live out west. What? Oh no, that means we can't expand.
That's not true. Nah.
I didn't say they were white people.
Oh, based. That's fucking pretty based, dude. Holy shit.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, when the United States secured its independence from Great Britain, the two sides met in Paris to settle the terms. Among various things, they discussed American territorial gains, and the British granted them a generous amount of land out west.
Now, I could be incorrect, right? But I'm pretty sure America had very, very good relations with France at this time period, right? I'm pretty sure, didn't France straight up like arm you guys for your War of Independence? I'm pretty sure like they sent I don't know if they sent troops. They definitely didn't send troops, but munitions, arms and stuff, some trainers, I think, to some degree. I could be wrong, but didn't they have like really, really good relations with you guys? Somebody let me know.
from Great Britain, the two sides met in Paris to settle the terms. Among various things, they discussed American territorial gains, and the British granted them a generous amount of land out west.
The fuck?
However, Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional fascination. Oh, Canada. So voluptuous. You think we can maybe acquire some of that? Quit ogling our territory. But look at those curves. I'd worry less about Canada's curves and more about your own curves, Benjamin.
Holy shit. Oh my god.
Suggested that one day.
I like how even fucking I like how even his fucking side there was like fucking roasting him as well there. That's kind of fucked up.
Many in America suggested that one day the Canadian colonies should become a part of the United States. In response, Britain suggested that many in America should shut the hell up.
Wow.
Well, if Britain wasn't going to give up Canada, then the two sides had to agree on where to put their border.
I just want to say that's not like totally like, you know, relevant to modern day context at all, but wow. Like straight up, wow.
If Britain wasn't going to
how timely we check this video out, guys.
Had to agree on where to put their border. Easy enough for the most part. Follow some existing borders, add in a few rivers and lakes, maybe even a parallel for good measure.
Of course.
But then there was a question. What would happen here?
That's a good question. Not to pause too much here, but like that's a really good question. I've never really like thought of like what comes into like drawing borders. I imagine in like, yeah, the 1800s when you're talking about like all this expansion of new land, new conquest. I imagine like actually coming up with like, what the fuck is your border? Like that must be such a complex, convoluted thing to have to come up with. I know this territory here at this point in time, this is owned by Spain, is it not? I'm pretty sure. But yeah, like having to negotiate with 2-3 powers internationally at this time period, you know, you can't just pick up a phone and call them, you know, it's, yeah, I imagine very, very complex. It's no wonder why so many wars just started over territorial disputes, because a territorial dispute in the day was literally like, well, shit, where's the line? Like, you know what I mean? Where exactly is the border? How precise are we going to get here? We don't have GPS or nothing like that. So it's like, holy shit. Yeah, I can see why it would be so confusing.
Straight line, straight line. And so it was.
Straight line.
The border would
that
go
works.
from the northwesternmost point of this perfectly oval-shaped lake and continue in a straight line westward until it met the Mississippi River. Perfect. Or was it?
Wait,
well,
that doesn't look like that, does it?
It didn't actually look like this.
Yeah.
But like this.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't exist. Yeah.
Here. So in the end, none of that made even the slightest bit of sense. Don't blame the founding fathers. They were just using the best map available.
See what I mean? Like, that would be so confusing, yeah.
The issue had been solved, and it was finally time
like, it's no one's fault, it's just...
Oh, back to war they go. The Glorious War of 1812 saw the Americans try to invade Canada, and the British burned down the White House. But when all was said and done, it was pretty much a draw. And once again, America and Britain...
Pretty cool, like, historical fact, I guess. But
when all was
let's
said
actually
and
look
done,
at this map.
It was pretty much a draw. And once again...
I want to get to like an actual map here.
The Glorious War of 1812 saw the Americans try to...
Yeah, so during the War of 1812, the regiment I was a part of, right? The regiment I was a part of is actually like up here and kind of like up here, right? At the, well, even like still nowadays, it's like around this area, right? So basically, our foundations were prior to the War of 1812. We were like kind of like a militia at that point. We reformed properly. We're the first like regiment at that point formed in that area during the War of 1812, and that was to stop like basically American naval invasions from across the Great Lakes into like the Tobermory area kind of thing, and the Owen Sound area. Very, very interesting. I think we did also go south. I'm not too sure on the unit's history at that point, right? But we do have a number of commendations from that time period. So it's actually very, very interesting, you know?
To invade Canada, and the British burned down the White House. But when all was said and done, it was pretty much a draw. And once again, America and Britain had to enter into peace negotiations. By now, both sides realized the original border they came up with was a piece of hot garbage. And since America had also recently obtained a huge amount of land from Napoleon, they decided they would need to re-examine the border issue. Straight line, straight line. And so it was. To fix the problems of the previous border agreement, they decided to go from the northwesternmost point of this lake, as had been previously agreed, down to the 49th parallel, and from there the line would go straight as an arrow up until the Rocky Mountains. But beyond the Rockies,
so awkward.
The two sides couldn't quite agree on where it would go next.
That's so awkward, that like little like sliver of like American territory.
Down to the 49th parallel, and from there the line would go straight as an...
Like, I'm sure like if I was to look at a map, it would maybe make more sense. But like from here, like there surely can't be just like a little sliver of American territory in Canada like that cut off on like a lake, right? What is that, like a fucking vacation zone? Like, you guys tell me, like, what the fuck is that supposed to be?
Narrow up until the Rocky Mountains.
Surely that doesn't exist anymore, right?
It can't. It couldn't. The two sides couldn't quite agree on where it would go next, because both sides claimed the territory beyond the Rockies was theirs. See, throughout its early history, America as a nation had its eyes heavily fixated on all that juicy land out west.
Oh, yeah.
Ripe for invasion. I mean, settlementation. America wanted to expand. Not only was it their right, some believed it was a destiny given to them by God himself.
Manifest destiny,
to multiply and spread across the continent, like rats or disease. Okay, guys, just before we take over everything, God definitely said this is what we're meant to do, right?
Yeah, he said that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Was it who spoke to God? It was Billy, right? I thought it was Sharon's cat. Well, it was one of us. There's no way we made this whole thing up to justify a ruthless collective imperialist tendencies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, let's get out there and make the world a better place, just as God intended.
Holy shit.
This belief in divinely destined expansion would later
That's
be
pretty
given
good.
its very own name, Manifest Destiny. But America wasn't the only one interested in controlling the Western territories. At the time, Canada was made up of a number of colonies, collectively referred to as British North America.
Yeah.
This one over here was owned by the Hudson's Bay Company, a British charter company dedicated...
Yeah, what's actually kind of funny, I don't know if you guys know this, the Hudson's Bay Company still exists today as a company, but it's they're more of a commercial, like high-end clothing kind of brand. Bland? Oh my God, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, they're kind of like their own store now, but they do still exist. But yeah, they used to be they used to own fucking all of this shit up here, and it's kind of insane.
This one over here,
like it was a company,
was owned
right?
By the Hudson's Bay Company, a British charter company dedicated to turning as many beavers as possible
like this. You go into certain like malls here in Canada, you can still see like this exact logo, Hudson's Bay Company Trading Post. Like but it's like a modern storefront. It's very weird, but it's cool.
As many felt hats as possible, as quickly as possible, and the indigenous people became a key supplier. As a result, the British were also eager to control the land out west and secure that region's valuable resources, and in particular, the Great Columbia River was deemed vital to the beaver business. So when it came to the question of what would happen to the border beyond the Rockies, the conversation went a little like this. The line should keep going straight because we're manifestly destined to gain the entire North American continent. No, we need this river so we can keep scalping beavers. Look, why don't we just draw the border along the river? That way we both have access to it. Well, that would be a completely fair compromise that protects the interests of both parties.
Literally.
And there's no way I'm ever going to agree to it.
Literally.
Having come to a roadblock.
Not to be a dick to you guys, yeah, but there's been quite a few. Also, is that an NES controller? Not to get like off topic. That's an NES controller, and that's a fucking Xbox, and that's a TV. What the fuck? Holy shit. Anyway, not to be that guy, but yeah, there's been a number of times I feel like throughout Canada and America's history, where, some type of resolution could be met very equally, and for some reason or another, it just didn't work out, And I'm not trying to be that guy. But it's usually from America's side that happens. I'm not trying to be that guy, but it typically is. Okay, I listen. I'm not a hater. I'm just saying it how it is. Whatever though.
And there's no way I'm ever going to agree to it. Having come to a roadblock, both sides simply agreed that for now they would jointly occupy the Northwestern Territory. They were both free to settle and trade there.
Not going to be
rest
good.
Assured, the agreement was only temporary. Eventually, somebody would get their way. Listen, Yank, we can jointly occupy this land, but I ain't sharing anything else. I don't want to see you using my toothbrush. I don't want to catch you wearing my underwear.
Holy shit.
I don't want to catch you using my computer and selling my data to advertisers.
Whoa.
Well, then you, my friend, should use
NordVPN. Oh my God.
Do you like giving strangers your passwords to your
That's
most
cool.
important online accounts? Me neither. And that's why I use NordVPN.
Oh my God.
NordVPN has thousands of
What a
secure
great
servers in
segue.
over 60 countries, allowing you to safely surf the net at the fastest speed possible.
Who the hell
It
are
works
you?
across
Oh.
all your devices, so you're protected on the go. Even 6 of them simultaneously. And it's super easy to use. With just a click of a button, you can head on over to South Korea and watch every single BTS video known to mankind.
So
With
convenient.
NordVPN, you no longer need to worry about those shady websites, annoying pop-ups, or undesired eyes spying on your browsing history. And you can even unlock content that's been blocked in your country, like this video. It even comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Was that the Schmittler video?
NordVPN.com/oversimplified to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount, plus an additional month for free. And as always, you'll be supporting my channel. So thank you. Now where were we? Oh yeah. Bickering over boundaries, manifesting destiny, and a joint occupation of Oregon.
Of course.
And one man living here who felt the territory should be British
Fort Vancouver
was James Douglas, the Hudson's Bay Company's no-nonsense chief factor at Fort Vancouver. Ah, what a beautiful, unspoiled corner of the British Empire. I've got my spotted dick, my Spice Girls fan club membership, and an unrelenting negative outlook on life that affects everyone around me.
True.
What are you looking at, Stephen? Yes. Truly
Very British.
British.
Yeah.
What the?
Oh no. Oh god. Oh.
The problem for men like Douglas was that many Americans had already begun streaming up the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Gunslinging.
So I do know a little bit about
Like
the
Douglas was that many Americans had already begun streaming up the Oregon.
I do know a little bit about the Oregon Trail, and even at this time period too, man, if you're talking population wise, like you guys still fucking like you dwarfed us in comparison. Like your population was massive even at this time period compared to British North America or Canada, as it will later be known as. Yeah, you know, fucking we could never outpopulate you guys, and I think by like the basis on that alone, like we're going to be forced to give up territory in that way, right? Like back in the day, like whoever owned the territory, you just sent more settlers there, right? And you guys were just going to fully be able to outsettle us if we didn't have a dignified border, which at this point we didn't. So by agreeing to a joint occupation, BNA very much shot itself in the foot, but we're also still very much British government at this point, right? We don't really handle our own affairs very much, right? Like Britain is still very much acting for us, and we're just kind of acting with the consequences of that, if you know what I mean.
In trail, gunslinging, howdy neighboring, and diarrhea having. By the thousands, they were pouring into the Oregon Territory in search of land to settle and farm. This, however,
be a very interesting time period, man.
Eventually, a very bitter Douglas and the other Hudson's Bay traders at Fort Vancouver were ordered to relocate north to a new base of operations. But the Americans keep coming and they don't stop coming. Hopped in their wagons and they hit the ground running. It didn't make sense to keep sharing Oregon when they outnumbered the Brits more than 6-1.
Yeah, literally.
And suddenly, the whole joint occupation deal was being called into question. Newly elected President Polk maintained that America had an obvious claim to the entire region, even implying a possible war with Britain. Fiery language from U.S. senators declared that American rifles would annihilate the Hudson's Bay Company in Oregon, and America even gave Britain notice that it was pulling out of the joint occupation agreement. The British were alarmed as the two sides stood on the brink of war. But in the end, neither truly wanted to fight. The British favored maintaining good economic relations, while the Americans had already gotten themselves into a war with Mexico. So after a bit of back and forth, the British finally said, "Fine,
1846,
you wanted a straight
okay.
line? There's your straight line." And so, the agreement was made. The border would continue directly to the Strait of Georgia. But because the British insisted they keep Vancouver Island, it would then move south through the center of the channel and on to the Pacific Ocean. Finally, the issue of the northwest border had been solved.
Seems like it, right?
Hold the phone. Discrepancy detected. Enhance frame, 200%. Enhance. Enhance. Oh.
Holy shit.
Too far. Perfect. Now, show me the exact wording of the treaty. The line of boundary goes to the middle of the channel, and thence southerly through the middle of said channel? But there's loads of channels. So, you tell me...
You're fucking kidding me. You're fucking kidding me. So there's islands in the channel, and I guess it was a slight oversight at the time. They probably just said the middle of the channel. Well, yeah, what's the middle here? Yeah, oh my fucking god. You see how, like, even like a slight, like, not even like a misinterpretation, but just like not knowing the terrain exactly, how it can fuck things up so terribly. Like, oh my god. This is, yeah, wow.
Hey, dear viewer, which channel is the treaty referring to?
Yeah.
And therefore, who owns these islands? Is the wording of the treaty maybe a little too vague?
A little bit.
That's exactly the problem encountered by the people living in the area. The British insisted that the channel intended by the treaty was the Rosario Strait.
Of course.
The islands were British. The Americans, on the other hand, argued that the intended channel was the Harrow Strait, and therefore, the islands were American. At times, the debate became rather heated.
I like how like it's either it's fully ours or it's fully theirs, you know? Not like, oh, we can't go like, you know, through the middle a little bit, whatever have you, and we can both get like a couple islands, whatever. Nope, it's either fully ours or fully theirs. Suck my dick and we're gonna fight about it otherwise. Like, fuck.
The islands were American.
God damn it, dude.
At times, the debate became rather heated. Even the individuals who negotiated and signed the treaty at times didn't seem entirely sure which channel the treaty meant, and representatives from the Hudson's Bay Company begged them to make it clearer.
Yeah.
But
why'd you sign it, you marshmallow? Is that what that said?
Simply had more to worry about than some tiny islands in the middle of nowhere.
Order! Order! Shut up!
All right, listen up. We got a lot to get through. The 7th Earl of Chissingham says he encountered a foul beast in the fields of Upper Fardingdom late last night and put this sketch together? That's a poor person, Darren.
Oh.
Next, Lord Piddlingham says he has a new mole on his backside? How is that parliamentary business, George? Oh, some islands in the Pacific Northwest are in dispute and could lead to a war with America? Boring. Fine, let's take a look at that mole, George.
What the fuck?
And so, for
oh
now,
my god,
the islands were simply held in dispute. Were they British or were they American? I'm sure this conflict won't cause anyone to die. And one man who thought the islands were undeniably British
holy shit,
was James Douglas, now the governor of Vancouver Island. He had.
But I also like too how it's like, you know, they're just seen as like a small group of islands. Like this is an important business for, you know, I guess what would you, the president of America, and this is an important business for Parliament over in Britain, right? It's just like kind of whatever, like who cares? Like there's not many people that are ideally going to be like living here contesting this too much. We're just going to leave it disputed and see what happens. We'll figure it out later. You know, there's more pressing matters to get to, right? But fuck yeah, like this could easily lead to disputes in the local area, right? Not even like, you know, for countries, right? Like it'll lead to country war later down the line, but country war is not going to start over this. It's going to be like territorial disputes between like people living here, like neighbors living here or something like that. You know, it's going to be like American and British like hate fucking basically on the border there. And I imagine it's going to turn into some really petty shit, which is going to evolve into like some bigger shit down the line. That's my assumptions. Let's see where it goes.
Undeniably British was James Douglas, now the governor of Vancouver Island. He had already once had American settlers encroach on his territory and force him to move. And by golly, he wasn't going to let it happen again. As far as he was concerned, those islands were not only British, but prime agricultural land. And given the chance, those glubby Yanks wouldn't hesitate to start pitching flags with their glubby little hands. And so, he came up with a plan. If the British settled the islands first, then that would surely secure them for Britain. And so in 1853, Douglas sent an Irishman by the name of Charles Griffin, along with some Hawaiian shepherds, to go set up a sheep farm on San Juan Island. And set up a sheep farm they did. The place was rammed with sheep, 1,369 to be exact. But within those flocks of woolly cowards could also be found a number of beautiful, prized Berkshire pigs. Oh, Porky, you look stunning. You're
oh my god,
the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Would you perhaps like to go to the island ball together tonight? Oink once for no. Roll around in that cow crap if yes.
Yes! I'm
oh my god,
poo and I'm the luckiest man alive!
But life on the island for Charles Griffin wasn't to be a perfect paradise of pig pageants, because unfortunately for him, the Americans also believed the island was
surely
theirs.
This man isn't having relations with the pig, is he? Oh my god.
An American customs collector was
it's
sailing around the
1854, who
islands on
knows?
the outlook for bands of native tribesmen when he spotted something. Aha! I've got you now, you savages. Over yonder. Those are sheep, sir. Sheep, you say? What are they doing here? Let's go and negotiate with them. Negotiate with sheep? Are you
what
crazy?
the fuck?
I'm perfectly stable, you rat bag. Call me crazy again and I'll eat your eyes!
Oh my god.
Hello, good sir. we request to speak with your leader. Out of my way. Allow me to parley with this foul beast.
Oh my god.
Hey, stop threatening my sheep. Your sheep? You mean to tell me that you, a British subject, have illegally imported these sheep into American territory? I'll have you know that you, an American, are currently trespassing on British territory. The Americans felt that they were entitled to collect taxes on the British property. You know, because the island was American, and they threatened seizure if dues weren't paid. The British, meanwhile, threatened to arrest the Americans. You know, because the island was British, and the two sides were in a standoff. To give Charles Griffin the legal
power. So is this like an early example of the IRS just like coming and like kicking a door down? Like is this like one of the earliest examples of that? Like, hey motherfucker, you're gonna pay your taxes. Like, you understand me? Like, we're gonna fucking come to your island, you're gonna pay your goddamn taxes. And if not, we're bringing the shit to you.
The island was British, and the two sides were in a standoff. To give Charles Griffin the legal power to deal with the American trespassers, Douglas said, hey, put on this wig. Boom, you're a magistrate now. And instead, Griffin went to one of his Hawaiian shepherds and said, hey, I'm making you a constable. Put on this badge. The British then went off to arrest the U.S. Customs inspector. But, being an American, he emerged from his tent with 4 pistols and a giant knife. So the Brits had to back down. Eventually, raids by northern tribes chased the U.S. officer from the island. But the Americans weren't done yet. Officials from nearby Whatcom County in Washington Territory believed the island fell under their jurisdiction, and they decided it was time to make the British pay up once and for all.
Holy fuck.
They sent one Sheriff Barnes to go confront Charles Griffin.
They're sending the actual sheriff?
You owe us $80.33 for all this farm stuff you got here. Go suck an egg. Oh, I see. So that's how it is.
That's actually probably a lot of money for back in that time.
That's the way in which things are, eh? That be how it will, is it? Will it be how that is, huh? That be the way in which things be the way they are, is that? Get off my property! So the sheriff and other Whatcom County officials felt they were now well within their rights to seize and auction off Griffin's sheep in order to recoup lost taxes. And who would they auction these prized breeding rams off to but themselves? Then, in a pretty chaotic scene, they worked to tie the rams to their boats. And when Charles Griffin came running to rescue his kidnapped sheep, being Americans, they pulled out guns on him, and he had to back down. In all, Charles Griffin lost.
That is literally just a robbery. Holy shit.
And he was furious. The British complained to the American government, who were shocked to hear what had been going on at their northwest border. And both governments told their officials in the area to back off.
Literally.
We're not trying to start a major war over some dumb sheep and a stupid island.
Like, yeah.
But also, the islands are definitely ours. Under no circumstances let the other side have them. For now, both governments agreed to set...
Literally, it's so vague. Yeah, we're not trying to start a war, but also it's firmly ours, and let them know it. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, like, how is this gonna work? You just gotta, like, yeah, like, work this shit out immediately when it comes up. You can't let it fester. It's just gonna keep on fucking going, and it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. Again, I can see where this is gonna go. The Americans are raiding essentially this guy's like house. Like, this is like his home at this point, right? His ranch, if you will. And they are just straight up coming over here and like taking his assets, right? Because they deem it to be their shit. He's not going to pay them money. $80 is probably a lot of money back in that time period. I don't know exactly how much it would be. Somebody let me know if you know. But shit, dog, I don't know. I feel like it's very unjustified. I feel like, yeah, he kind of got there first. If he got there first, I feel like it is kind of theirs, right? Just by definition of that. I mean, if the Americans hadn't settled it already, you know. Like, I would go with like the British justification here. If we sent men there first, it's ours. Fuck you. You know what I mean? That makes sense to me, right? In this situation.
The islands are definitely ours. Under no circumstances let the other side have them. For now, both governments agreed to set up yet another boundary commission to decide which channel was the correct border. But it often devolved into petty bickering. The British did make one interesting suggestion, though. We could draw the border through this middle channel and split the islands between us.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a completely fair compromise that protects the interests of both parties.
Never gonna agree to it.
I'm ever gonna agree to it.
Like, what the fuck?
Aftermath of the sheep raid, James Douglas.
Also, slight annoying thing here.
Agree to it.
He pulls out an AK. That should definitely be an M16, just my opinion. But anyway, small gripe.
And in the aftermath of the sheep raid, James Douglas, still stationed at Fort Victoria, became even more cautious of American encroachment into his territory. Mr. Douglas, sir. It appears an Indian has discovered gold in the Fraser Canyon, just north of here.
Shut up!
Keep your voice down, boy. We can't risk those glubby Americans hearing about this, or our territory here will be infested with them.
Literally. Oh god.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Holy shit. Mobility scooters, what the fuck?
The Fraser Canyon Gold Rush attracted a heap of Americans to the region. Some got lucky. Most did not. And of those that didn't, rather than returning all the way home, many simply decided to settle in the area. And in particular, the juicy green pastures of San Juan Island were rather appealing. Believing the island was American territory, around a dozen American settlers moved there in the late 1850s. One of them was a man named Lyman Cutler, a young man in his mid-20s, and lazy as pie. He didn't want to have to clear a space in the forest to build his home, so he said, I'll just build my cabin right in the middle of this British sheep run. I'm sure that won't make anyone mad. When he planted potato seeds in his garden, rather than building a nice protective fence around them, he said, I'll just fence in 3 sides and hope all these British farm animals have a moral compass and respect my property rights.
What the fuck?
Griffin's pig was a Berkshire, well known for rooting, and Lyman's fairly pathetic fence made for a bad combination.
I see.
Numerous times he had to chase the pig away from his property, and he once angrily marched up to Griffin's home, saying, Hey, British farm idiot, keep your stupid pig out of my potatoes. It is up to you to keep your potatoes out of my pig.
You really said that? What the fuck?
American neighbors.
But honestly, yeah, I mean, if it's clearly marked like, hey, this is kind of like a fucking like ranch area, this is a pasture, like don't fucking build a house here, and he did it anyway, that's his fault. And then you notice fucking to the tune of 1,400 sheep roaming the fucking island. You're gonna plant a vegetable garden and you're not gonna fence it in. Like, that's just fucking idiocy from this dude, like plain and simple. That's all this is.
Out of my pig! Griffin was furious with his new American neighbors. They built their homes all over his sheep pastures. And besides, what right did they have to be here anyway? It was British territory. Lyman, on the other hand, swore the local government had assured him his land claims were legitimate. And so to him, the British were out of line.
Really?
Look at that sick freak. In love with his pig. Isn't that just sick?
Yeah, what a freak.
Not like our love, Spuddy.
Holy
Ours
shit.
is all natural. Yep.
Oh my
Just
God.
a man and his potato. Nothing wrong with that. But the tension between Lyman and Griffin was just about to explode. Huh? What the? Spuddy? All right, you damn dirty pig. That's the final straw.
What the fuck? Did he kill the pig?
Lyman shot the pig.
What the fuck?
After taking a second to calm down, he felt bad about murdering Griffin's prized boar. So he went to him and said, Hey man, look, I kinda just killed your pig. It was eating my potatoes again, and I don't know, man, I kinda just killed your pig. Killed your pig. Killed your pig.
Oh my god, no. Holy shit. He's gonna crack.
You swine! No, the swine is the one I killed. I'm Lyman.
Oh my god.
Griffin demanded Lyman pay $100 for the loss of the pig, an outrageous sum at the time. Obviously, Lyman refused, threatening to shoot any more animals that dared enter his property, even threatening to shoot Griffin himself. When Griffin complained to James
$80
Douglas,
for
British
taxes.
officials went and
That is kind of crazy. $80 for taxes is what they wanted him to like pay for his land taxes originally. And he wants $100 for that pig. So yeah, something's amiss there. Somebody let me know if it was actually $100 straight up. How much is $100 in this time period in like the 1840s, I guess? Because holy fuck, that does seem like a lot of money.
to shoot Griffin himself. When
Oh my
Griffin
God.
complained to James Douglas, British officials went and confronted the pig killer. Again, they insisted he pay up, and if he didn't, Lyman claimed they threatened to arrest him and take him back to Victoria. British officials arresting an American on American soil and trying him under British law? Now that's controversial.
Yep.
And it's a controversy that attracted the attention of an American general in charge of the Department of Oregon, one William S. Harney.
Harney.
This guy, General Harney,
I think I've
had a
heard of him.
reputation He's the kind of guy who invades Mexico without orders,
Oh.
wasting valuable resources and creating an embarrassing situation for everyone involved. He's the
Right.
kind of guy who has one of his own men arrested for writing the wrong header on a report. He's the kind of guy who finds a dog digging up his yard and then chases it for a mile and a half just to give it a beating. He hated superiors, hated being told what to do, and had been court-martialed 4 times for disobeying orders.
What the fuck?
Contemporaries described him as an imbecile, all matter and no mind, an arrogant humbug, and a laughingstock. Like I said,
Why? So with a man like this, especially invading Mexico without orders, like I'm sure this was during the Mexican War. I'd have to assume, but maybe not. Otherwise, why the fuck is he still in command? Like, what kind of command would he still have? Like, I can't imagine keeping a guy like as reckless as this in charge. What was the thought process back then? Just like, fuck it, we don't have anyone better right now, currently. Like, just we'll use whom we have, I guess. Like, there has to be someone better than this guy. Like, I'm just saying.
an arrogant humbug, and a laughingstock. Like I said, General Harney had a reputation. He hated the British and was out for any opportunity to earn personal glory for himself. By some accounts, he even wanted to become president. And so, in July 1859, when he happened to visit San Juan Island,
Oh, this
and
is
he
in the
learned of the plight of the
1860s almost
Americans
now.
living there, the shooting of a pig, and the British threat to arrest Lyman Cutler, General Harney went into scheme mode. Hey,
Sounded
yo,
like the Left 4
Captain
Dead,
Pickett.
like Hunter
Yes,
music.
sir. Listen carefully. I need you to go pick up some flowers and bring them to my place later.
Wait a second, Captain Pickett. Is that the Pickett, like Pickett's Charge Pickett from the Civil War? Wasn't he a Confederate, if I recall? I could be wrong. Pretty sure he was.
Yes, sir. Listen carefully. I need you to go pick up some flowers and bring them to my place later. I've got a plan. Here I am, sir. What's the plan? Pickett, you and I are going to start a war. What do you mean, sir?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Listen up.
That's
An American
crazy.
man shoots a worthless pig on San Juan Island, and the British threaten to arrest him. Outrageous. But we can use it. We get the settlers there to send us a petition saying they need American troops for protection. That's when you go with your men and occupy the island. The British will find American troops on an island they consider theirs so offensive, they won't hesitate to blow you to smithereens. Then
Right.
It's war. We bring in reinforcements and we fight back. I'll write to Washington, D.C., letting them know what's happening. But here's the kicker. My letter will take 6 whole weeks to get there. Before the government even gets a chance to respond, telling me I'm an idiot and ordering me to cease fire, the island will be ours. Hell, we could even invade Vancouver Island or British Columbia. It's foolproof. Wow, very impressive, sir. But I gotta ask, why? Well, I'll level.
Like, and that's also assuming like British defenses in the area are weak and nothing is there to fight back at all, right? Like, and this isn't like, you know, this is assuming like British like orders and communications don't get out as well. Like, you know, the British still very much rule the seas at this point. We do still have a very large a fleet presence. I don't know in this area how big it would be, but we definitely still would have quite a fleet presence in this area. This is such a radical fucking scheme. And also, like, yeah, you're gonna go, he's basically sending Pickett onto this island to occupy it with the intent that we fire upon them. So he's just kind of sending Pickett to his death is what this fucking sounds like to me. Like, what the fuck? Like, this just seems dangerous.
Wow, very impressive, sir. But I gotta ask, why? Well,
Like, yeah,
I'll level
why?
with you, Pickett. Historians still contest exactly what it is I'm trying to do here. It's possible I'm trying to expand America's territory. Maybe I'm trying to play
Really?
the hero so I can become president. Some have even suggested that since I'm a slave-owning Southerner, I may be trying to create a diversion to help the South secede in the upcoming Civil War. But if there's one thing that almost everyone can agree on, it's that I'm an idiot.
So historians genuinely don't know even today why the fuck he did this. This guy was just so fucking out of pocket that he just really? Fucking really? Again, why? Like, how? Like, why was somebody like this in charge of men? I don't understand. Holy fuck, what a blunder, dude.
Almost everyone can agree on. It's that I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
See, but hold on. What'd you tell me to bring flowers for? Because, Pickett,
They're pretty and I like them.
There are also historians who
Okay.
believe that Horny and Pickett had no secret plan at all, and were not scheming masterminds, but simply hot-headed buffoons, genuinely
Right.
outraged at the audacity of the British and trying to protect American citizens. But the fact of the matter is, Pickett took the very controversial and extremely provocative act of landing American troops on disputed territory.
Yeah.
He set up his camp in a
Very
exposed
provocative.
position and erected a very provocative sign proclaiming that only American laws applied on the island. It was almost like he was asking to be fired upon. Or, again, maybe he was just an idiot. When a British official sent to the island to get rid of the unruly American settlers now saw that there were American troops, he demanded they leave. He was obviously told to go suck an egg. When Douglas found out, he was enraged. To him, the American landing constituted an invasion.
Yeah.
Harney sent a report back to the War Department in DC, justifying his actions with exaggerated claims of British villainy. But he knew it would take 6 weeks to get there, and another 6 weeks for the reply to come back.
Right.
For now, the situation was entirely in the hands.
And isn't that crazy? Like straight up. So you're looking at like 6 and 6. So you're looking at like a 12-week, right? So what, like 3 months to return a message across the US at this point? That's so fucking crazy. Like the flow of information definitely affected things in such a major way back in the day. Like, and that's why like the railroad and stuff was such like a massive boon to our countries, because it just meant like not instantaneous travel, but compared to this, very, very fast. Yeah.
Another 6 weeks for the reply to come back. For now, the situation was entirely in the hands of local military and government officials, and the ball was in the British court. Would the temperamental Governor Douglas and the powerful British Navy respond to the American provocation with force? Were Britain and America really about to go to war over the shooting of a pig? Well, if one man were to have his way, it's entirely possible they would. James Douglas had already had Americans force him out of Oregon. They had threatened his position in Victoria during the gold rush. Now they had invaded his island, and he had had it. It was time to turn to the Royal Navy.
Like, it's honestly a reasonable
Captain
crash
Hornby,
out. I'm just
go to the
saying.
island and prevent any more Americans from landing. And take this magistrate with you to arrest Captain Pickett. Use force if necessary. Just don't do anything to start a war. Wait, you want me to use force but not start a war? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that too much to ask?
A little bit.
Princess? When Captain Hornby got to the island and saw that the American force there was even larger than expected, his concern grew. He sent word back to Douglas, who in response ordered even more ships to the island. And at this point, the naval officers were like, hey man, let's talk. They were concerned Douglas's escalation was leading them to war, and they convinced him it probably wasn't a terribly good idea to just go up to an American military captain with his armed men and say, hey bucko, you're under arrest. Please don't shoot me. Douglas gave in. To prevent any hostilities, he canceled all orders and told the Navy, for now, to simply keep an eye on the Americans. He did send one more ship for good measure. Captain Pickett, now seeing the British ships with their guns aimed directly at his exposed camp, said, see Jeff, look at that. We're about to get blown to bits, all according to plan.
Literally.
Hang on.
Oh crap, Jeff, we're about
Like,
to
did
get
that not
blown
set
to
in?
bits. Run!
Pickett hastily moved his camp from its very exposed position to another position.
You're on an
which,
island.
as it happened, was also very exposed.
Like,
It
yeah.
probably won't surprise you.
Bro, you have like fucking British frigates outside this island. Like, yeah, all of it's going to be fucking exposed. You're on an island. Like, they could just naval bombard you fucking inland at this point. Like, cannons fucking got range. Like, that's what people don't realize. Also, some of these ships are probably equipped with like mortars and shit like that. Like, they can shoot in range, like not super far, not like a modern day or like a 40s era battleship, anything like that. But they do still have range. Like, they can fucking sling some balls like a couple kilometers at least. So yeah, no, I mean, fuck that. Yeah, like, you're on an island, my guy.
To another position, which, as it happened, was also very exposed. It probably won't surprise you to learn Pickett came dead last in his graduating class.
I could imagine.
Nearby American and British officials began showing
His
up.
charge
fast
went
because
very
what the
poorly,
heck
if
he
I
was even
recall.
doing. Then, a bunch of tourists showed up, because a major war breaking out in their doorstep was the single most exciting thing to ever happen in any of their miserable frontier lives.
Literally.
Warren Charles Griffin was particularly unhappy. First, his pig had been shot. Now his sheep pastures were being trampled by soldiers and tourists alike. He complained to Governor Douglas, who was still pretty upset about the whole thing. Douglas felt British honor itself was at stake, So he decided that if American forces were allowed to be on the island, well then by golly, the British should be there too. It would be a joint military occupation.
Wow.
Upon hearing Douglas's new plan to land British troops on the island, Captain Hornby decided to go speak with Pickett in person. After informing him of the plan, Pickett replied that if they dared land, he would open fire. So there they were. The British had orders to land. The Americans had orders to prevent their landing.
See, if that's the case, like, again, if that's the case and America is firing first, they're in the weak position here. You got fucking British frigate ships out here. If they're going to land troops, they're in the weak position. I would say let them fucking shoot and blow them off this fucking island, like straight up. If this was me, and that's the thing, right? Like, it's maybe a good thing I'm not in like control of a country, but like at this point in time, like, yeah, like you do have to kind of like lay down the law. No offense, you guys were very, very expansionist in that day and age, and it wasn't unwarranted. Again, your population was massive. You definitely could afford to do it, but yeah, like I can see why the British would want to lay down some type of fucking law here, because it's like you are fucking pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing that border back and back and back and back, further and further and further. It's like, nah, like fuck off with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got to put an end to that. It definitely makes sense from their perspective.
They were. The British had orders to land.
Now, I will say from the American perspective too, fucking, these guys are idiots, right? The people sent to go deal with this, or just that randomly came upon it and made it their problem, are fucking complete idiots. But from their perspective too, it does make sense. The easiest way to like avoid all this would be to not have a fucking like disputed territory in general. That would be it, right? Just work this shit out in parliament, in government, you know, and just fucking let it work out normally, you know. Don't be, yeah, this is ridiculous. I can see how this is getting blown way out of proportion.
He would open fire. So there they were. The British had orders to land. The Americans had orders to prevent their landing. This was it. War. Over a small island in the middle of nowhere. Over a pig and some potatoes. Over whether the US-Canada border looked like this or like this. It was stupid. Hold on.
Literally.
This is stupid.
It is fucking stupid.
I'm not landing those troops. I'm not gonna be the one who starts a war. The captain decided not to follow Douglas's order. And good thing he didn't, because pretty soon after that, the leading British admiral in the entire Pacific region showed up. Rear Admiral Baines outranked Governor Douglas. When he heard of everything that had been going on, he was stunned. But when he heard that Hornby had refused Douglas's plan to land troops, Baines could have kissed him. Whether he did or not, history doesn't tell. But I like to think they did. The Rear Admiral canceled all of Douglas's orders and instead pursued a policy of not interfering with the Americans until he could contact the British government. The Americans, not knowing the British no longer intended to land, had sent reinforcements and began fortifying. But even still, the British Navy did nothing. And finally, when word made it across the planet, informing the two governments of the ongoing crisis, everyone was shocked. Holy crap! Harney landed troops on disputed territory?
Like, yeah.
Man, I hope the British don't find out about this. Buchanan? Oh crap! The British! Why are we getting reports of American troops on San Juan Island?
Buchanan?
Whoa. I don't know, man. Nothing to do with me. But you're the president.
Literally.
Breckenridge? Am I the president? Yes, sir. And hey, we got a problem. It looks like the southern states are considering seceding. And we're headed for the biggest crisis in the history of the nation. And it's your job to fix it, sir. Sir? Oh, no.
Was this
Not the curtain again, Mr. President. I'm not here. Buchanan. Back in the...
Was that accurate? Like, was the president at this time, President Buchanan? I'm not familiar with this guy. I'm sure, you know, you guys have had a lot of presidents. I don't really... You know, you hear a lot about the great ones, but you don't really hear a lot about like the not great ones, I guess, for a reason. Was this guy just like some bitch, or like what was his piece? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not really getting a good portrayal here, I'll be honest with you. So I'm curious, what exactly was his piece here? Like, straight up, like was it just incompetent presidency at that time, or what happened? You know?
Again, Mr. President. I'm not here. Buchanan. Back in the Pacific Northwest, Harney was beginning to realize the government may not be terribly impressed with his reckless actions, so he began firing off even more aggressive letters justifying what he had done. Tell him the British were sending bands of Indians to attack our men, and that they're
Oh my
big
God.
meanies with coal for hearts, and that they made me cry like a little girl. Wait, no, that makes me sound weak. They made me cry like a big girl. Yeah, that's it. When the president received Harney's
Sounds
notice,
much better.
his anxiety only grew stronger. Oh, crap. Hey, General Scott, please make this go away. Leave it to me, sir. General Winfield Scott was the commanding general of the entire U.S. Army.
I think I've heard of this guy,
Well known for his
too.
negotiation skills. He was a veteran of the Mexican-American War,
Right.
during which time he had to deal with General Harney's idiocy and insubordination. And he watched as Harney got away with it all, thanks to his friends in high places. It's safe to say that Scott really
Wait a
did not,
second. Let me
thanks
just.
to his friends.
Andrew Jackson. I think I've heard of him and James Polk. Maybe I've heard of James Polk. I don't think so. I think I've heard of Andrew Jackson before, though. That sounds familiar. I couldn't tell you what. What, a Southerner? A Southerner, I'm pretty sure. A politician of some degree. Not too sure, though. Somebody let me know.
In high places. It's safe to say that Scott really did not like General Harney. By now, General Scott was racked with gout, and he was so big, he had to be hoisted onto his ship in a basket.
What the fuck?
Nevertheless, he began the long journey to the Pacific Northwest. Okay, everyone, get over here. Will somebody please tell me what the heck is going on? I'll tell you, General. It all started on one fateful day last summer. Spuddy? All right, you damn dirty pig. That's the final straw.
What did he just cock there? That's a double barrel.
Hey, you can't get away from me!
Made a pump noise.
Oh, look at that pig. Nowhere left to run, eh? I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah, look, he's.
Simon?
What the fuck? He's pumping a double barrel shotgun. What is that? Like, you cock the hammers back there, but he's like. He's making the pump like action on like a double barrel. What the fuck?
If you spare my life, I grant you 3 wishes.
Oh fuck! Oh my god!
So you see, General, the pig wasn't even on his property when he shot it. Liar! He's lying to you, General. I'll tell you what really happened. What a pleasant summer's afternoon here on my humble farm. It's just me and my beloved potatoes. I'm so happy. Say, Lyman, them some nice spuds you got there. Would
Holy
be a
shit.
shame if somebody ate them.
No, not again, you beast! Leave my potatoes alone!
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat them, Lyman. I'll eat them, and then I'm gonna eat you.
Stay back! I'll shoot!
Go ahead, punk.
Oh my
Make
god.
my day.
Shoot me! Shoot me!
He made me do it. He made me.
What the
do
fuck?
it.
He made me
So
do
you're
it.
telling me you guys nearly started a war with the strongest naval power in the world over the shooting of a pig? Yeah, now he's starting to get it. Not only the pig, sir. The British then threatened to arrest this poor, pure American soul. Thank you, General. Shut up. I don't care about you. Okay, I've made up my mind. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Literally.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You guys are fine. And you two are the most mind-numbingly brain-dead ding-dongs I've ever encountered in all my life. And I'll see you in my office. Okay, Harney, listen. I cut a deal with the Brits. Here's how it's gonna be. Both sides will maintain a small force on the island for a joint military occupation until our two governments can decide who owns the island. Now, the only way they'd agree to that is if Pickett is removed from command. So I'm replacing him with Captain Hunt here.
Okay.
Now, Harney, listen to me.
Okay.
Do not, under any circumstances, put Pickett back on that island. Okay? I mean it, Harney. Do not order Pickett back onto the island. Understood? Yes, sir. Good. I'll see you, Glubos, later. Is he
He's
gone?
still there.
I think so.
He's
Good.
still there.
Hunt, you're fired. Pickett, you're going back on the island.
Oh my
All right,
god.
you psychopath. I've been waiting years for this.
Oh my god. Oh my
Harney
god.
had not only ordered Pickett back onto the
Fucking
island,
just
but
beats his ass.
department even notified the British that it did not recognize the joint occupation settlement, while everyone else had decided on peace. Harney appeared to still be threatening war.
Really?
Needless to say, a furious Winfield Scott soon removed him from command and sent him elsewhere. In Harney's
Thank
absence,
God.
the joint occupation went ahead, and the troops actually got along together quite well. The British attended
we
4th
usually
of July
do, I'll be
celebrations
honest.
at the American camp, while the Americans visited the British for Queen Victoria's birthday. Even
like realistically, our peoples, right, like are not that fucking different in culture. Like we just straight up aren't. We are, but we aren't. At this time period, you know, and when I say our peoples aren't that different, I mean a lot of the case of like rural Canadians for the most part are typically much more like Americans than they are Canadians culturally. We still are very, you know, culturally Canadian. We still recognize our culture very strongly, right? But the thing is like even our politicians recently have said straight up that Canada doesn't have a culture, right? So that's where I think you get a lot of like American sentiment within Canada at this point in time, right? But back then, man, like, yeah, like, you know, shit, we've always kind of been bros, you know, when we're not killing each other, we're pretty chill, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, I think our peoples get along a lot better than people like to make it seem. It's really just politicians that usually just drive us apart. But, you know, I got no hate towards America at all. And I feel like most Americans don't really have hate towards Canada. You know, I feel like it's really just unjustified for our two peoples to hate each other and to not get along. Like we're, you know, jointly we rule North America and we could be such a fucking superpower together. It's so unnecessary for us to fight amongst ourselves, you know, like straight up.
at the American camp, while the Americans visited the British for Queen Victoria's birthday. Even Pickett became good friends with his British counterpart. War, it seemed, had been avoided,
Nice.
thanks largely to the level-headed actions of the Royal Navy and General Winfield Scott. Of course, the islands were still in dispute, and the question of who exactly owned them still had to be answered. That answer would have to wait, because while San Juan was at peace, the nation was tearing itself apart.
Oh, the
When
Civil War started?
broke out in 1861, the issue of San Juan just wasn't that important.
Really?
Kearny, despite being a Southerner,
So this goes on for
remained in the
another
US
like
Army,
6,
but was
7 years
eventually removed
technically.
from command at St. Louis when his loyalty to the Union came under suspicion. More famously, Captain Pickett, a native Virginian, went on to become a Confederate general.
Right,
Pickett's
yeah.
charge at the Battle of Gettysburg
Yeah,
remains one of the
Gettysburg,
most famous
yeah.
moments of the entire war and
Yeah.
marked a major turning point. U.S. relations with Britain actually soured during the war. The British, missing their supply of southern cotton, initially looked like they may intervene on the side of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
There was the Trent Affair, when Confederate diplomats were discovered and arrested on a British mail steamer. And then there were the British-built ships sold to the Confederacy that wreaked havoc on northern commerce.
CSS
When the Civil
Alabama,
War
damn.
ended, furious American politics.
I just want to take a look at that illustration there, that picture. That looks fucking sweet. The 1850s like steamer ironclad era is so fucking unique, like because you have steam engines on these old like sailing ships. They look so fucking unique and so good, man. Like I love this era of like history for sailing. It's so fucking interesting to me.
That wreaked havoc on northern commerce. When the Civil
I had
War
no idea,
ended,
though.
furious American politicians called on the British to pay reparations. And by now, a long list of hot issues existed between them. And yes, on that list remained, 12 years later, still the issue
12 fucking
of who
years.
owned these gosh darn islands. That issue, it was finally agreed, would be submitted to international arbitration. The Empire of Germany would decide.
Really?
With the British and Americans presenting arguments. The American argument was reportedly presented with a little more pizzazz, a little more zing. And in the end, when the Germans made their decision, they awarded the San Juan Islands to the United States. When an agent
Fucking
Douglas heard the
balls,
news,
dude, what?
he said that there was no possible way the British argument had been presented correctly.
Like,
But
yeah,
that
to be
was
fair.
that. The British conceded, and on the 25th of November, 1872,
That's crazy.
the last British troops left the island. As the Americans entered the British camp to raise their flag, they found that the British had removed the flagpole. One last up yours to Uncle Sam.
Good.
By this time, Charles Griffin had already left the island, and the Hudson's Bay Company eventually sold their sheep farm. And so, there you have it. A dangerous situation that almost brought two great powers
Wow.
to war, triggered by the shooting of a pig. But thanks to more level-headed minds and an eagerness for peace and cooperation, conflict was avoided. And the only casualty of this pig war was, well, just a pig. But how different could things have been? What if the British had attempted to arrest Pickett? What if they had landed troops? Could the two sides have actually gone to war? Could America have invaded Canada? Could it, perhaps, still invade Canada.
Holy shit.
Think
This was
about
made 3 years ago.
Why not? We have the manpower.
It's true.
We have the arms. It's
Yeah.
our manifest destiny. Picture a future where American Mounties wear red, white, and blue.
That looks
and hail
ass.
the stars and stripes.
I'm just saying, that
Where
uniform
Wayne
looks
Gretzky
ass.
would wave the American flag every 4th of July in the streets of Montreal. Maple syrup, the greatest American food. Banff, the greatest American national park. One united nation under the leadership of our glorious president, Drake. No longer shall we tolerate our smug neighbors to the north with their affordable insulin and endless comments complaining that I don't talk about Canada enough in my videos.
What the fuck?
That's right, Canadians. Watch your backs. Sleep with one eye open tonight. Because Biden's coming, baby.
Biden's coming? Oh my god.
He's coming with a vengeance.
Fucking Biden's coming has to be the most cursed shit I've ever heard in my life. What? Oh my god. Holy shit. Wow, guys. I think that's the end there. Yeah. Wow, that was the Pig War, oversimplified by Oversimplified. That was fucking fantastic. Really funny video, really comedic. I really like the it's always good to watch like a serious video, but it's always nice to like take a break from that and always like check out a comedic video as well on some of these more serious issues as well. I think they're awesome for that. It's great to have a laugh, great to have a chuckle. This video is awesome, I'm not gonna lie. I need to definitely check out more of Oversimplified's videos, because man, again, I haven't checked out anything since his World War I, World War II videos back in the day, and clearly, man, like his production quality, fucking everything there, that was great, very engaging, kept me entertained the entire time. I really like that one, I'm not gonna lie. And great, and some great topics of conversation in that as well, you know, straight up. Let me know what you guys thought about that. If you guys want to see more, make sure you leave a like so I know you want to see more, and leave your recommendations down in the comments below, which one you want me to check out next. Yeah, awesome video. Yeah, big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principes, Dagenhart, and Hobbit, and of course, our Prefect Fear. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. And with that, guys, I say, yeah, we end the video here. Without any further delay, this has been Centurion. See you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.